Today, during today's sessions, we will look at how generative AI revolutionizes customer engagement in the business support systems, BSS domain. The webinar is organized within the ETIS community of telecom professionals. And thanks to our team from Calvi and Aria systems and the support from their champions, ConvergeICT, a CSP from the Philippines, we managed to organize this webinar. So they will take us through a Catalyst project where they recently won a top award from the TM Forum. The project is called EBITDA Mastery, Revolutionizing Customer Journeys using GenAI. They will demonstrate how EBITDA growth of over 30% can be achieved through careful consideration of GenAI design and application. Let me also introduce you the speakers of today. So we have Eugene Io, Deputy CEO at ConvergeICT, who will explain the motivations and drivers behind this project. Next, we have Clive Ford. He's a Senior Product Manager at Aria Systems. Clive will discuss some of the technical principles and use cases, followed by a demonstration of a billing use case in action. And finally, we have Walter Neft. He's Chief Commercial Officer at Calvi, who will cover the architecture and business value that can be achieved in terms of OPEX savings and EBITDA growth. So before we start, just to remind you a couple of logistical aspects. This session takes in total 1 hour. The webinar is recorded and the recording will be shared with you afterwards. Also, the presentation support will be partially available in PDF format for you afterwards. Today, as I mentioned, we have quite some participants in the meeting. So that's why we decided to rather use the chat and the Q&A so that we manage much better the timing instead of unmuting and asking direct questions. So in this sense, because we will have actually a dedicated Q&A time allocated at the end of the session, I would like to ask you, whenever you have questions, to just use the Q&A section. You can find it in the top right corner of your Teams app. So for any questions related to the content, use the Q&A, but you can also use the chat section for any sort of comments or reactions or other type of questions. So just feel free to, and please interact during this session. Anything that is left unanswered, we will get back to you directly after the session, wherever, of course, we can. And that being said, I would like to give the floor to our first speaker, Eugene Io, Deputy CEO at ConvergeICT. Eugene, thank you so much for joining us today, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and good day, everyone. Let's move to the next slide. Over the past months, our team of operators and technology partners came together to work on a TM Forum Catalyst Moonshot project. Now, for those who are not familiar, TM Forum Catalyst projects connect the collective power of operators as well as technology partners to co-create solutions, driving industry change through open APIs, open digital architecture, AI, and automation. Now, each catalyst is required to design, prove, and show business impact. I'm very happy to announce that our catalyst won the Moonshot project. So our project focused on building a framework that would guide the implementation of practical AI models in order to unlock business efficiencies, optimize end-user experiences, as well as create sustained growth for operators. Now, Converge is proud to be one of the 3 operators, alongside Telkom Argentina and Vodafone, working together with technologies from partners like Aria, AWS, Calvi, Nespon, and Salesforce. Next slide, please. All right. So it's hard to get EBITDA improvement today. And our target really was to achieve a 30% plus EBITDA growth. Now, what are the challenges in attaining a 30% EBITDA growth? Well, achieving a target of over 30% is truly ambitious, especially considering that CSPs typically experience only 1 to 2% revenue growth per year. Now, our perspective is that reducing OpEx will have the most significant impact on achieving EBITDA growth. Now, industry analysis indicates that human resource are the largest OpEx for CSPs. So the first challenge we had, while many GenAI initiatives can easily solve questions related to static data, human resources are still needed for complex problem solving. Now, these resources are typically the most expensive because they require a combination of cognitive skills and contextualized information to make decisions and achieve successful outcomes. Now, this is common in areas such as handling user billing inquiries or engineers resolving issues in the field. So the first challenge is, can we apply Gen AI to higher order problem solving? The second challenge, LLMs are proficient at retrieving data from a static knowledge base created at a specific point in time. However, many complex customer interactions require access to real-time information, such as the latest network status or bill sent just a few minutes ago. Now, many CSPs, like one of our champions, Vodafone, have invested significantly in TM Forum APIs. So it will be crucial in our catalyst to solve highly complex contextualized conversations by leveraging these APIs to access relevant information and generate highly personalized responses. For example, the status of an order, a bill, or a tariff plan, where we might otherwise need to hand off to a human agent to resolve. Additionally, we can perform pre-analysis of out-of-band bills to anticipate bill shock conversations, providing deep insights when those interactions occur with customers. So to address these challenges and improve EBITDA, we need to curate an ODA-aligned AI framework capable of solving complex problems and accessing time-sensitive information. Now, this approach will provide contextualized responses, significantly enhancing productivity and efficiency for OpEx reduction. So as part of our catalyst, we decided to focus on two primary use cases. The first one on bill shocks and the second on short rolls. So the next question then is, where should we apply this AI solution to have a significant OpEx impact? Now, in our pursuit to improve EBITDA significantly, focusing on reducing OpEx is crucial. So our analysis of the customer journey in relation to CSP OpEx identified several high OpEx areas that can be significantly reduced using our AI framework. And we also estimated that the target savings needed to enable a 30+% EBITDA growth when applied across a broader set of use cases. Now, first, we looked at ways to reduce assisted support, and we believe we can improve this by 15 up to 40%. And we aim to reduce the reliance on assisted support channels through proactive and hyper-personalized engagement. Now, by leveraging personalized messaging curated by GenAI and using data such as billing information, we can proactively connect with our customers. This minimizes the need for customers to engage with us through our channels, significantly cutting down OpEx related to human resources. Now, the second area we looked at was really to improve productivity during the assisted support when the customer calls in, for example. And we believe that by improving this using GenAI, we can improve it from 40 to 70%. So we utilize the GenAI Copilot to increase agent productivity, which allows us to automate the analysis of customer billing data or field issues. Now, this reduces human-based OpEx by making our agents way more efficient and capable of handling complex issues effectively. Now, lastly, we focused on improving next best action. By implementing sentiment-based next best action, we can maximize customer satisfaction and value. Now, this involves identifying corrective actions during AI-assisted processes to optimize first-touch resolution, enhance customer satisfaction, as well as to identify upsell opportunities. So to achieve substantial EBITDA improvement, it's essential to utilize time-sensitive data exchange, as discussed previously. Now, this ensures our responses are highly personalized and contextualized, and leveraging on real-time data to make informed decisions. So by doing so, we can handle customer inquiries more efficiently and reduce the need for human intervention. So now let me pass on to Clive to now talk and share a bit more on the architecture and framework itself. Clive, over to you.
Thanks, Eugene. So over the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the use cases we presented as part of the Moonshot Catalyst. I'm going to focus particularly on the billing related use case, but also briefly mention the field service use case. Next slide, please. This is the high-level architecture design, and while Walter will talk a little bit more about this later in the presentation, I want to spend a few moments on the key applications and the associated data that is driving this demo. Like Eugene mentioned, most CSPs, like yourselves, have data distributed across multiple systems in the organization. With the Catalyst, the billing and account information for use by the AI is coming in from 3 data sources provided by Aria, Calvi, and Salesforce. Aria provides the essential billing data via 2 paths. On the first path, Aria provides Calvi with subscription charges and usage that has been rated and billed in Aria for bill presentation, analysis, and enrichment. On the second path, Aria provides further detailed historic billing data to a contextual data engine operated by Salesforce using prompt techniques such as retrieval augmented generation or RAG. The billing data is used to enrich and ground these prompts with deep billing insights for a rapid and accurate resolution for a customer request using the LLM. Like many CSPs, you may have valuable pre-analyzed insights in your system that improve GenAI answers and cost efficiency. Here, Calvi receives bill data from Aria and performs bill scenario detection using deterministic algorithms with tag and pattern recognition. The key value here is that an algorithmic approach will achieve 100% accuracy while leaving complex and multidimensional calculations out of the LLM. This drastically reduces AI costs and runtimes, both in real-time prompting, as well as reducing the need for fine-tuning and retraining based with specific billing scenarios. Calvi serves the invoice augmented with bill insights via the standardized API called TMF678 for bill management using a MuleSoft adapter. In our architecture, we are using AWS to provide AI capabilities, which includes sentiment analysis being performed by an LLM hosted by AWS. Lastly, Salesforce was used to provide the engagement layer and the orchestration layer through Flow, Prompt Builder, and the trust layer. Next slide, please. Leveraging the GenAI capabilities just presented across proactive engagement and reactive support, our billing-related inquiry use case contributes to the CSP's EBITDA increase. We focus on this particular use case as billing-related inquiries overshadow even critical issues like outages and reliability, challenging both customer satisfaction and driving call center OpEx. What is really interesting is that billing-related inquiries still accounts for a staggering 50% of inbound calls, and 75% of the duration of a typical billing inquiry can be impacted by GenAI. Next slide, please. These are the 2 personas that we will encounter in the primary use case. In the reactive case, Tim is a QuadStar CSP agent who, when talking with a customer about account and invoice related questions, wants to quickly get an overview of the customer's account, the bill shock problem, and using an AI-assisted summary of the situation, be able to communicate the solutions and recommendations to the customer. For this case, Chloe, a long-standing customer, has made a number of off-net calls that are not covered by her call plans. This has created a bill shock, and she is very concerned. Tim can access all the relevant customer information, including service, case history, and billing information in a single place, reducing swivel chair activities and maintaining an efficient call handling process. Tim is able to efficiently find recommended solutions as part of a single interaction, which enables Tim to handle more customer requests during the day. In the proactive case, Chloe is proactively notified in advance of the bill shock. This deflects Chloe from contacting the call center and provides potential upsell opportunity, increasing average revenue per user, as well as customer satisfaction scores and reducing the number of inbound calls and cases raised. Next slide, please. So let's review the journey of the reactive engagement first. You'll see a couple of terms, functional call and RAG, or retrieval augmented generation. Basically, the difference between these is that functional calling offers a access to external services, and the ability to execute tasks, while RAG supplies the necessary context and knowledge to ground the prompts with the data source. Excuse me. First, our customer receives an unexpected large bill on the left-hand side from the communication service provider. Next, our customer will initiate an interaction with the CSP contact center and be routed to the next available agent. Our agent will be provided a sentiment analysis based on the customer's account profile, giving the agent context as to the severity of the complaint. Then our agent will also provide an AI-generated recommended resolution addressing the customer's need. If an upsell opportunity would provide value in resolving the issue, this would be provided to the agent, who can then present this offer to the customer. Lastly, the agent can then capture the order and wrap up the use case, ending the interaction with the customer. So let's see this in action. Let me just share my screen. Let me just share to. Okay. So hopefully, can we see my screen? I think we're good. Okay. So let's just see the demonstration of the use case one. Our use case begins, as I said, with Chloe ringing in with an unexpected large bill. Chloe calls into the contact center with a complaint, and after a brief interaction with the QuadStar interactive voice response system, she's put into contact with the QuadStar agent Tim. During that period of time, which, as you're probably aware, is usually between 30 seconds to a minute, as Chloe works her way through the IVR, we're able to go to Calvi to get a billing insight to provide what is the question that we are to ask before the customer gets on the call. That the billing insight cascades into a functional calling within the LLM, and that creates what questions do we need to ask? What sentiment is the customer in? Are they happy, sad? What is the root cause analysis of that billing issue? What does the invoice details and usage data provided by Aria tell us? What is the recommended upsell of the from the product catalog that will lead to the resolution to the bill shock issue? This is all surfaced into this single agent's console. And as you can see, this is what we're looking at. What Tim is seeing. So when the agent picks up the call, they're able to already see that there is actually a bill shock scenario that's been, as you can see in this lovely pink bar here, that's actually already in the agent space, and we can actually see that we actually have that very highlighted. This is all going to be presented through the GenAI, and if we actually go through to the resolve side, the first thing that we actually see, this bill shock resolution is built into two parts. The first top section is the summary, and in that summary, it's key that there has actually been a number of items of overspend relating to off-net usage. The second part of this relates to the steps required by the agent to run through the customer to resolve this issue. And so section 1 would be acknowledge the customer's concern. Section 2 is relating to the detailed examination of the issue. And as you can see here, we actually have a high bill charge going through. The third item here is to verify the primary calls with the customer. So we can actually see we've got off-net calls and mobile to the SMS, and also going through then into the suggested solution, and any other considerations that need to be explored with the actual customer. So this information is then backed up. I'll come back to the recommended over here in a second. This information is actually backed up through the shock analysis. So what we actually have is the shock analysis, as we said, came from Calvi. And the AI did a functional call to retrieve that using the TMF678 API. This is a GenAI summary of the JSON response from that call. And it should be noted there was no code used to interpret that JSON. This identifies several invoices with off-net usage overspend, as you can see at the top summary up here. On the billing data, This is shows the GenAI summary of Chloe's subscriptions, orders, and historic transaction details, and also a summary of the usage. So here we actually have the plans and services, transactions, some usage insights, particularly on the number of calls to specific numbers. On the case data side, this is actually the GenAI recommended steps for the case resolution as provided by the LM model, which uses the bill shock scenario, case history, and billing data to generate the recommended resolutions. On the product side, these are all of what we did is we looked at what eligible products are available for Chloe specifically based on where she is. And also from there, we actually took the analysis of what plans were associated or available to Chloe that would actually best suit her particular circumstance. So in here, we actually had a off-net usage, and there was being a recommendation of the top one here, which is, there's a better one for what's going on for unlimited to external operators within the country of Europe, because we're based in Germany actually in this one. And this is the item that's being actually surfaced up in this top section here. So, as I said, this is all happening behind in that side, and Tim is able to actually look at this and saying, hey, what was the issue that they're having, which again drove a cascaded sequence going through the multiple LMs by asking those different questions about what was going on, what's the case history, what product should I have to resolve. So, can we actually flip back to the main presentation now, please? Stop my share. Thank you. So, for the reactive engagement, we've just seen how using GenAI predicted by functional calls and retrieval augmented generation, we can improve the productivity of an assisted support scenario by performing the billing insights and the action steps to take while the customer is being routed to an available agent. This also allows for an improvement of the next best action by effectively finding recommended solutions as part of a single interaction, which enables the agent to handle more customers during the day. Excuse me. Next slide, please. Now let's extend that scenario to a proactive case where the call is deflected by providing a proactive notification. The sequence is triggered by business rules in this case and filters. For example, a customer is having unexpected high usage that creates the bill shock, who also has a high churn score and has, for example, previously had billing inquiries inside the last 6 months. You might have already noticed that the billing insights in the middle there, sentiment analysis, root cause analysis, and recommendations are exactly the same steps that were used in the reactive engagement. But in this scenario, we turn the analysis into a proactive notification to the customer, explaining the circumstances and making those recommendations. Next slide, please. In this slide, you can actually see that there's the example of notification that summarizes that issue of the off-net usage. What is the specific number that has been identified as the primary reason, and the recommendation of that plan, and that would resolve this issue going forward, and the reason behind that recommendation. And it should be noted that that was also generated within parameters using the GenAI prompt. In the proactive case, we're able to reduce assisted support by proactively notifying the customer and providing the next best actions, turning this into a potential upsell opportunity, which would increase average return per user, as well as customer satisfaction scores and reducing the number of inbound calls and cases raised. Next slide, please. Before I hand over to Walter, I just wanted to talk briefly about the second use case that we created for the Catalyst, which was completely different to the billing inquiry, but uses the same architecture and principles. What we heard from our champions, and specifically in this case, Telecom Argentina, was that they wanted to increase first visit completion and ensure adherence to the SLAs, as often during a field service call, the technician would need to contact their help desk to get assistance on how to resolve an issue that they were unfamiliar with, and sometimes that even made a second call. For this catalyst, Nestbon created a field service mobile application. Let me just walk you through the journey there. Next slide, please, Walter. Our use case is composed of 6 macro steps during the technician's repair service and uses GenAI in 3 of those. The use case starts with the technician checking their next visit on their field service mobile app. Before the customer visit, the technician has a pre-work summary prepared by the GenAI and valuable information about the customer sentiment, inventory, installation work order, and the overview of the work order instructions. The technician is now better prepared to start working on the customer's facility. The technician follows the work order instructions, but notices that during this, the services are not yet fixed, so additional analysis needs to be done. And part of that diagnostic shows that this is where the GenAI comes into place again to provide new insights on potential resolution based on that diagnostics that just got executed. Finally, the GenAI recommends articles with detailed instructions on how to execute those new proposed activities. By following these steps, we were able to demonstrate a time saving of just under 3 minutes on a 45-minute appointment. I'm now going to hand you back to Walter, who will take you through the business impacts.
Thank you very much, Clive. So yes, now that we've looked at the both the motivation as well as the demonstration of the use cases, I will walk you guys through the business impact of this AI framework, which is the third out of the 3 key objectives of this project. Right. So the first objective was to design an AI architecture that is both composable and independent of the technologies used, and which can access different AI models and a federated data model. Then we went on to demonstrate the viability of the framework by implementing solutions for 2 distinct use cases that both address OpEx in a different but significant way. And finally, and that's what I'll continue to talk about for the last portion of this presentation, we concluded a thorough business analysis where we extrapolated the potential impact on the CSP's EBITDA when this framework would be applied and implemented to various domains across a CSP operation and IT stack. Before I walk you guys through the exact impact on the business KPIs, let me quickly address some key aspects of the architecture that, in our view, influence this business impact by addressing common CSP challenges. So let's start on the left. We've seen this picture already, but the architecture is composed of 4 separate layers, right? There's an engagement layer with technologies that engage and communicate with customers and internal business users. Then at the bottom, we have let's say a knowledge domain with a variety of data sources that provide domain-specific insights for the AI framework to consume. Then on the right, there can be a multitude of AI models that may serve for specific use cases, like a sentiment analysis. And then at the core of the framework, we see the AI orchestration layer, which connects all the information in a meaningful and technologically independent way. And where the technologies in place will differ from telco to telco, and where many of the CSPs on this call will recognize that you'll have to deal with multiple sources, even within specific domains, such as multiple billing systems or multiple CRMs. We believe that the business drivers to implement such an AI framework like this will be consistent for each CSP, which brings me to the right side of this slide. So first of all CSPs are dealing with fragmented and siloed data that is spread across legacy systems. This significantly increases the operational IT cost and basically limits your ability to effectively leverage AI. And the designed architecture allows access to data from diverse sources through a federated model, which eliminates the need for a costly data migration, right? This approach drastically reduces AI cost because it enables LLMs to focus on summarized insights rather than consuming all the data. And then Clive already presented an example. Instead of training an LLM to detect anomalies in, for example, billing information, in this case, we provide the AI framework with summarized anomalies. Secondly, in this framework, AI addresses the correlation as well as the contextualization of domain-specific knowledge, such as the billing information coming from Aria, the bill shock events coming from Calvi, case histories existing in Salesforce, but also product catalog information and call sentiment analysis. This capability allows for AI to go into complex and time-consuming problem solving that would otherwise require costly human resources. The RAG that Clive also referred to, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, facilitates this by retrieving, refining, and then integrating the information from the various sources to generate comprehensive responses. And finally, the framework is designed to impact telco operations across domains, across use cases, to serve a maximum potential impact on EBITDA. So to test the applicability of the framework, we implemented, as you saw, 2 distinct use cases that each address an entirely different domain of a telco operation. One focused on the customer services OPEX, reducing the cost of billing inquiries, and another one focused on optimizing field service operations by improving technician productivity. Now, before I showcase the potential impact of this framework on a CSP P&L, let's jump into the business impact of the implemented framework in the use cases that we implemented as part of this project. And let's start with the use case on billing inquiry management. So first, I would like to provide some context, which forms our baseline, but also explains why we selected this use case in the first place. Right. So first, we wanted to prove the viability of the framework in an area that has a significant impact on OPEX. Based on the input we received from our champions, Vodafone, Telecom Argentina, and ConvergeICT, but also from other industry research findings, we found that on average, billing inquiries account for a staggering 50% of CSP customer care volumes. Secondly, in addition to having a significant impact on OPEX, we wanted to test the framework in an area with a decent propensity to be affected by introducing an AI framework. By making an activity breakdown of the billing inquiry call, we considered the potential for AI to improve both the productivity, and the quality of each step, from analyzing the bill issue and identifying the cause and the solution, to suggesting next steps, and to finally document and summarize the case. Here we found that about 75% of the call duration can be impacted by generative AI, as we saw also earlier in one of Clive's slides. And then to tie that all up, which formed the baseline, is that we found that about 10% of CSP OPEX is actually customer service or customer operations related. So we believe that this use case qualified for having a significant potential impact. Now, by leveraging the GenAI enablers that we see here on the right, which also Clive demonstrated, we identified 3 tangible KPI improvements. So by providing the proactive and personalized messaging, we can first of all significantly reduce the volume of inquiries and the need for assisted support. As indicated here, we estimate that a potential reduction around 15 to 40% of all the incoming calls. Then, by implementing the GenAI-based Copilot application for agents, we can reduce the average handling time of those calls that would still come in, right? Based on our analysis, this average handling time can be reduced by 40 to 70%, which also Eugene already addressed in his slide. And finally, by using AI to recommend next best steps, we turn billing inquiries into possible upsell opportunities that drive revenue growth, where we see a potential upsell rate between 3 to 5%. Now, in the bottom right of this slide, the impact can be made tangible in P&L terms as well, right? So by reducing the amount of inquiries while at the same time improving agent productivity, the customer operations OPEX can be decreased by 15 to 26%. And as this OPEX category accounts for 10% of the total OPEX of a CSP, the total OPEX can be reduced somewhere between 1.5 and 2.6%, leading to a potential EBITDA increase of 3.3 to 9.3% for this use case alone. Right, so it's another statistics, a lot of statistics I'm throwing at you, so I won't go this much into detail on use case 2, but the same principles apply, right? So we are improving the technician productivity through some a GenAI enabled application. And these efficiency gains lead to OPEX reductions in the network operations OPEX category, which we found represents a substantial proportion of a CSP total OPEX distribution. And as such, this has the potential to uplift the EBITDA by over 2%. Now, let's zoom out a little bit and bring this all together, right? So as I mentioned, we've done a thorough top-down business analysis, and based on secondary research conducted by primarily Omdia and Arthur de Little, we used a typical CSP P&L breakdown for the as-is position. By applying the Generative AI KPI improvements, both in top line, but also in the various OPEX items, we can see the potential of the framework to improve EBITDA by over 30%. As you can see here, again, the use cases we saw previously were not selected randomly, but rather we focused on some big ticket items of the OPEX, overall OPEX, right? So network operations, we see here, accounts for the 70% of OPEX, and the customer operations, which accounts for about 10% of OPEX. With the identification of more use cases, we believe that CSPs can build towards the target state, as the functionalities that we saw, like the Copilot, can be used in much more than only one function, right? I guess that after seeing Clive's demonstration, all of you can easily imagine the application of such a solution in, for example, a sales or marketing-oriented context. Now, in terms of next steps, clearly, we see value in enriching this analysis with more use cases. Also, we need to take into account the additional cost that is driven by this AI framework and its impact on OPEX. And finally, we see the importance in the refinement of the KPI improvements as more success stories and findings, of course, become available when the solutions are actually implemented. Now, this project is formally concluded, but we consider this only to be the beginning, right? We designed a framework, and in our pursuit of designing this framework that could deliver this very ambitious target of a 30% plus EBITDA improvement, we have identified 3 key areas of innovations that we would like to advance. Starting at the top right, one of the primary areas of innovations that we recognize is the development of AI to learn how to call the right AI model for the task at hand. By integrating multiple AI models, we can ensure that the most appropriate model is used for each specific situation, enhancing both the accuracy and the efficiency of the problem-solving process. This approach allows us to handle a wider variety of complex tasks with improved precision. Secondly, the move to open prompts, right? So rather than forcing your customers through an IVR or an FAQ list and asking, hey, do you want to talk about your invoice? Yes or no? We expect customers to demand a GPT-like experience, where you ask them, how can I help? And the AI framework, as we shown today, will enable open conversations with the customer in natural language, leveraging domain knowledge via function calling. Which brings us to the third item. As the adoption of API standards, such as the TM Forum Open APIs that Eugene referred to, As that adoption increases more and more, driving the development of AI to learn how and when to utilize these APIs is considered another key innovation. By automating the knowledge extraction through these APIs, we can streamline data retrieval processes and make it easier for AI systems to access and utilize relevant information from various sources. This automation not only improves the efficiency, but also significantly reduces the operational costs by minimizing manual data handling. So I guess that's a lot of information, and this brings us to the end of our presentation. Before I leave the floor open for any questions from the audience, I would like to use this opportunity also while Eugene is here to express our appreciation to all the three telco champions of this Catalyst project, ConvergeICT, Telecom Argentina, and Vodafone, who have provided invaluable guidance in both the business modeling, but also the technology solution development, and their insights, but also the support have been truly instrumental in shaping this whole approach and framework. So thank you for that, and well, thank you all for listening in, and we are very interested to hear if there are any questions and feedback from the audience.
Okay, thank you so much to our presenters, Clive, Eugene, and Walter. It was very inspiring. And for the audience, please, we still have 15 minutes, so feel free to ask questions right now if you would like in the Q&A and in the chat. In the meantime, we already have a couple of questions, so I will start with a question for Clive. What volume of billing data was providing to AI architecture, and how? Does data over a broader timeline like 1 year make responses more accurate?
A great question, Roxy, and whoever asked that was great. When we actually did, as I mentioned, we actually used provided data in two ways. One through Calvi to get the invoice data across to them so they could actually then add to that. So that was just invoice data that was actually going out, and transaction and a few other pieces for that. But the main data thing, for, as I said, in the historic stuff, was actually going via a zero ETL data share that was going on between our Snowflake in Aria data share through Snowflake and into their data cloud, into Salesforce data cloud. Now, the volume of data there was really focused on, well, we have all of the data available for the customer. We didn't use all of that in this particular scenario. We concentrated on the invoice and the historic transactional data. So it was really about that concise more on that side. Now, as to the what level of data do you need? Yeah, well, that comes down to, you know, over time, you're going to get more insights. Yeah, because obviously if you start, you're only going to get a little bit of information. As that grows, you're going to have much more variation. So you're going to be able to see much more clearly. And because we're not training the LLM at all, yeah, we're actually, you know, feeding this in through RAG and functional calls to actually get that data. So it's actually very timely. Yeah, does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. Okay, there's no reaction, so I think we can move to the next question. And I have here a question for Eugene. Where is ConvergeICT looking to apply AI first, billing or field or others?
Yeah, interesting question. And the way that we are looking to apply AI, in fact, we are launching it into production on the 15th of July. It's been a 1-year journey for us, you know, testing and putting everything in place. But we're actually looking into embed it in both areas, both our CXP or customer support teams, which includes billing inquiries, as well as the field services. So we're really excited to, you know, start on that journey and having AI in our production environments. It was also very interesting in this Catalyst, you know, working on both of these use cases.
Okay, thank you, Eugene. If you have any questions, yeah, we still have some time to cover your questions. In the meantime, we have a question for Walter, I guess. It was mentioned that existing Insight 8 AI solutions come to more accurate answers or lower costs. How did that insight come about?
Yeah, so the way that we approach this, right, is that, well, for example, if you have billing data, which consists of huge volumes, you don't want the LLM to actually, well, from a timing perspective, right, you don't have the time to teach and train an LLM on a bill that was generated yesterday, and the question may come in tomorrow, right? So there's a time perspective there, but also a cost perspective. So what we're doing there, right, is that from the Calvi side, we take an algorithmic approach and very explicit business rules. We determine specific anomalies, and based on that, we provide insights and summarization to the LLM, which is then used by the LLM to make the recommendations as you saw. Yeah, does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. And then also from Walter, then you are presenting the overall AI impact earlier, and there's a question, are impact data simulated or real?
Yeah, so we used we determined it from a combined time and motion analysis from our project, but also from data from the champions, right? Because Vodafone and Telecom Argentina and ConvergeICT were an active part of the project, so they also provided insights on and helped confirming, for example, the call breakdown categories and the duration of the calls and the cost of a call, right? So it's a combination of things, testing things on indeed how do we improve the process and the KPIs with the implemented solution, but we also got input and statistics from the champions in the project. Yeah.
Okay, and I still have a related question. I'm not sure if it was answered in the meantime. What dependencies are there on the AI technologies you have used here? For example, you mentioned AWS, but we may Azure.
Is that for me as well?
Yeah.
You said. Yes. So as I mentioned, it's a design. It's a framework, right? And it's designed with actually the whole foundation we have is that it's independent of the technology, right? So of course we use the technology of the partners that co-created this framework to actually implement the solution. But you can implement the framework with different AI models or different technologies, right? And the business drivers and the benefits would still remain, of course. So no, it's not dependent on a specific AI technology or model.
Okay, thank you. I still have in the meantime a question for Eugene. How long did this project take?
What is Catalyst? I think this is like a 5 months project.
5 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. It span across 9 different time zones. So I think that helped us gain some time, right? Because you can have 24-hour days.
Or lose some sleep.
Yeah.
As with any project, it actually took that pre-planning phase took a while, and then going into the actual implementation was actually surprisingly quick. Yeah. So in that timeline, so it was a very enjoyable project to work on, and we had great collaboration between all of not only the champions but the 5 partners who actually brought the technologies together. So it was pretty rapid.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. In the meantime, we have a new question in the chat. How do you evaluate the long-term impact in the EBITDA?
Sorry, how do you can you repeat
How do you evaluate the long-term impact in the EBITDA?
the long-term impact. I don't know who asked that. So I guess I'll try and answer it, but maybe I interpret it wrong. So if you look at, wait, let me pull up the slide once more with the.
Yeah, sorry, in the meantime, the question is from Marcelo. So maybe, Marcelo, if you want to add some more details of to help us better understand the question in the chat.
Now, feel free to speak up, Marcelo, but I'll try and address it. So the picture I'm trying to paint here, right, is that, of course, in a 5-month project, we only had time to prove the viability of the framework for 2 use cases. But to the challenge that was given was, how do you impact EBITDA with over 30%? So we extrapolated that in kind of a hypothetical case, like what if you would apply this framework across various domains serving multiple use cases? So I guess that's how I would respond to kind of the long-term impact on EBITDA. So in case you would implement this framework and you would touch on the various domains that we've identified suitable for this type of solution, right? The potential impact on EBITDA is what we have here, like between 30 to 57% EBITDA growth, right? So but that's the potential, right? So I think, I don't know if that's kind of answers the question, Marcelo.
Okay, we don't have any feedbacks. But so, and maybe as a follow-up to this question is, in the meantime, we have a question from Matti. I see this solution already in production or proof of concept. Other than the impact on cost, did it have any impact on NPS?
Yeah, so the first question, so this is a catalyst. We delivered the project last week, right? And so that's it, by nature, it's in POC form. Right now we're looking to kind of implement this into production, right? So it's real data, real technology, so it works, but it's in POC form. And then the second part of the question was around the NPS, right? So so we have focused in the business analysis primarily on the financial KPIs here. Then I'm just kind of filling in the blanks, right? Clearly, right, if you are able to handle inquiries faster in a more personalized way, if you're more proactive in your notifications, this will clearly positively impact NPS, and as such, revenue retention, all those type of things. But we have not necessarily went down the road of kind of doing a thorough analysis on how much NPS would be improved. Hope that answers the question. Maybe that's something we can do next time with you guys then.
Okay, I see so far no other questions. And since we are towards the end of the webinar, I think we can conclude here. So thank you so much to our presenters, Clive, Eugene, Walter from Calvi, from Aria Systems and ConvergeICT, and to the telcos involved in this project. Also to all participants for being here today. As a next step, I will send to all of you that were here in this meeting an email, a follow-up email. We will share with you also the recording if you want to rewatch, and you can also contact the presenters directly if you'd like more details. And please just check our website at etis.org for upcoming events, and always don't hesitate to reach out to the representative, to the manager of the working group in which you are belong, if you would like to propose topics for the next meetings or roundtables, benchmarks, or workshops. We are here for you, for the community, to really help you thrive as a community. So yeah, here we are. Thank you so much for today, and we keep in touch. Have a lovely summer ahead if we are not going to be in touch, and if not, just see you soon. Thank you so much.
Let me then take the opportunity to thank you and the ETIS group for giving us the chance to present this and the platform to present this project. So thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Really good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Hey, have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.